Hello. Generically named here. They're here for Final Fantasy VII Remake, Intergrade, DLC episode intermission, any percent run. And we're going to call that Yuffie% from now on.
Yeah, it's a bit of a long name otherwise.
Yes, and Dutch, would you like to introduce
Bit of a
yourself?
mouthful. So, hey, I'm DutchPotato. I'll be the other runner for your night tonight. And on commentary, we have WoadyB.
Hey, everybody.
And Steamed Hams.
Yep, and I'm Steamed Hams with cheese. Let's get this going.
And also, I brought back orange soda. I know chat wanted that. I hope you guys can see it to my left.
We can't see him, but he is here. We assure you. He's taken care of.
Woo! He's very happy that the run is happening.
Right.
And I think we can just go. If I'll get on the screen, you guys can just count us down.
Yep.
All right, you guys ready? We can go on go.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, go.
All right.
And we're off. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Yuffie%. There's so much to go over in short 52 minutes. So right off the bat, these runners are going to hit us with some menus, get some optimization happening. So with Yuffie, you start off with a ton of equipment and stuff to go with. So it's not bare bones, lots of stuff to work with, so tons of route optimization. Here in these first couple battles, the character Dutch and Generically Named are both going to not only take these enemies out as quickly as possible, but they're going to attempt to do what we call dance animation skip. So it looks like Dutch there got the animation skip, and Generically is attempting to do the same on his end. What it is yep, looks like they got them both. What it is that in the first 4 battles, it's only the first 4 battles, Yuffie will do this kind of twirly dance move that wastes several seconds in the run. And obviously, we're trying to go fast here. We don't want that dance animation, so we try to find ways to skip it. Now, it's not the most consistent, but these runners have worked tirelessly to find the most consistent method that works for them to get it usually like 9 out of 10 times, if anything.
All different ways, but the best understanding that we have of it now is that the enemies have to die at different points, and for Yuffie to keep her running animation. And good there that I think Generically got underneath, was right on the trigger, so I was able to sneak right underneath there. And up here is another piece of tech. We're gonna throw the shuriken at the elevator and then do a little piece called save load. Now the load times on the PS5 made it so quick that it's actually faster to save and reload the game, and instead of waiting for whatever cutscene is going to be playing. So we use that to our advantage.
So we just have to watch the elevator go down, but it's very slow.
Yep, and then this next battle.
Oh my God, 2 feasts. That's really lucky.
Oh man, not the feast. So in this battle with the Gorgers, not only do we not want to see feasts, which do waste a lot of time because you're playing as Yuffie alone, but one of the Gorgers, luckily neither runner got it, will run away from you. So thankfully they both stayed grouped up. And both runners also learned the elemental ninjutsu ability. This is important because in Remake, abilities are not usable unless they've been mastered by the weapon. And we're not going to be using this weapon for the entire run. So we got to make sure we get that learned, and they've brought it into this. But coming up here, we are going to be having a battle against 2 wolves. The battle's going to go kind of quick, so we want to talk about it real quick. Leading up to it, Steam, do you want to tell us a little more about how they're going to try to do this battle?
Yeah, so the wolves have a particular battle, I guess you could say script, where when you throw the shuriken at them, they'll dodge and start charging at you. And you want to use that to your advantage because you can do something called perfect guard. So that's perfectly timing. I guess you could say it's frame perfect, but perfectly guarding so that the dog gets knocked back, fills up half their bar, and that staggers them back. We figured it was the fastest way of doing it. And then we'll use the ice ninjutsu to finish off the battle since they are weak.
And we don't use ice ninjutsu. He'll use blizzard, I'll just use windstorm.
Oh, I'm sorry, blizzard, yeah.
Oh, that was really bad.
Yeah, sometimes the timing with the wolves. This is actually one of the toughest battles when you first learn this run to get down, because these wolves actually hit really hard until you kind of get the basis of the battle down with the perfect guarding, being able to also use the power of windstorm and throw. Right now, we've actually got a bit of a run to the next part of the story happening here. So why don't we actually take a moment to maybe get some donations read while we've got some time to talk about more of the run.
I would be glad to read a few donations. We got a $25 donation from Magical Quevor, saying, "What a crazy job, everyone. The runners are working hard to go fast, but we need you, the viewers, to keep feeding the greens to this amazing cause. Let's go. I am a sucker for puns, and keep those coming in, everyone." Do we have time for one more?
Yep.
Yes.
All right. We got a $7.70 donation from the Scruffington. Says, "Good luck to Dutch Potato and Generically Named. It's been incredible to watch the Final Fantasy VII Remake community grow over these last 2 years. And I am happy to see Yuffie% get some love at GDQ. Remember, chat, be nice."
Yeah. Thank you. Shout outs to the rest of the Final Fantasy VII community, both remake and otherwise.
Shout out.
Yeah. This game is on PC now, so you don't need a PS5 like me and Dutch and the 12 other people. Jump right in.
Yeah, we're very friendly, we assure you. But next we have Fort Condor, which is a bit of a complicated minigame, so Woady, why don't you explain what we're looking for there?
Yeah, let's talk about Fort Condor, because ideally if this is going to go well, it's going to go fast. So what's going to happen here is, as part of the story, this is where the game is making you kind of just get a bearing of what's happening in this world to kind of draw more out of like mini games and stuff. But you have to talk to these 3 people, and one of the people you talk to will actually trigger Fort Condor minigame that you have to play in the speed run. This is a big reset point for us in the run, because the most optimized strat is we're going to hope for a dog in your opening hand. The reason is the dog focuses on the towers. The goal is to take down the tower in the back. And so the dog is just going to go homing in on those towers. Obviously, we got to protect the dog, but it is going to be the most optimal strat. So ideally, what the runners are going to do is they're going to hope for a dog. They're going to place the dog on the opposite side of where the opponent puts their tower down. So, looks like Dutch did not get a dog in the starting hand, but it is second dog, so it's not the weakest, but it's there. But then generically's got a dog, so you might be able to get a little bit of an edge going on here. So he's going to put the dog down. We also are going to use magic, which is a one-time use thing, to heavily weaken one of the towers. We also want to try to make sure that we put down a unit to potentially draw aggro away from the dog, because we have to be careful. If we group up the enemies too much, or if the enemy puts a unit down and the unit focuses on the dog will go down pretty quick. We also have access to a cure spell, which is going to be used to protect the dog, because one hit from the tower usually 50% downs the dog, but then it can survive long enough, and then usually from there you can kind of wait it out and win. If the dog goes down, if you got a few other units up and running, it's not the worst case scenario, but actually looks like even though Dutch didn't get a dog opening hand, he still pulled out a victory slightly ahead of GN going on there. So pretty close there and keeping things nice and tight. But yeah, Fort Condor has a lot more going on for it, but that's about all we do for the speed run.
I'm sorry. You go first.
What happened is you shoot the fire quickly, so normally he will retaliate and blizzard one of your bases, but he didn't, so he actually saved his blizzard for my units. So my dog didn't get protected, and I had to spawn a second one.
That's a fun event. So yeah, even though I didn't get a dog in the starting hand, he actually didn't summon anything on the right side, so my units were able to just go in completely uncontested. I actually didn't even need to cure, so...
Yeah, that is a big point of Fort Condor is the RNG, because you can't really predict what they're going to do. You can try give it your best guess, but sometimes they won't cooperate.
Yeah, thankfully that's probably the
life
biggest
of a Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, that's thankfully the biggest RNG spot in the run, and it's thankfully at the start. So while it does create a lot of resets, we should be good from here on out.
I think we have one more RNG heavy sequence coming up here.
No, that is true.
Let's say now we're about to learn all the side quests that we're not going to do, so great time for donations for like 2 minutes.
Yeah, for
All
sure.
right, and I have plenty of them. All right, so we have, let's show some anonymous love. We got $250 from Anonymous, another $250 from Anonymous, another $250 from Anonymous, $2,000 from Anonymous, another $250 from Anonymous. Thank you all so much. We got a couple more anonymous donations saying, donating for the cute kitty. Let's get this Final Fantasy VII Intergrade run. Do it for the cat, chat. We got another $50 donation saying, hey, speedrunners, have fun. Thank you all so much. We got another $1,000 donation from Anonymous. It just keeps on coming. Lots of people showing their love for Final Fantasy VII. Thank you all so much. We also have a $15 donation from Sunshine and Octo, who says, thanks to all the amazing staff and runners. We love to watch GDQ as a family, and let's keep finding ways to kick cancer in the butt. 650K is just around the next corner. Hype! That is absolutely true. We're only a couple grand away. So let's go ahead and make that final push and get that in. We also have Matt Nicholson donating $277.77, saying, laying down the sevens for that Final Fantasy VII Remake bonus game incentive. Let's see Yuffie get that special materia. Got Squaresoft donating $10, saying Yuffie is best girl. So is Marl. Therefore, this goes towards Final Fantasy VII-R and those CT keychains. Thank you all so much for your generosity. I see these donations pouring in very, very quickly. Just to keep you guys looking ahead, we also have a donation from Sturo, donating $25, saying, donating for the Spoopy Spaceman, which is of course in reference to our Returnal bonus New Game Plus run incentive. We are almost there at just over 16, or just under 17,000 out of 25,000. So keep that coming in for that. Do we have time for a few more?
I think one more should be good.
One more.
All right, we got Nat donating $25, saying, I have school tomorrow. I don't care. I want to see Final Fantasy VII Intergrade broken apart.
Thank you so much.
Now we got a little bit more walking and talking here, but this would be a good time for you guys to explain how Sonin works.
So Sonin is uncontrollable character in your game. Can't switch to him like you can in the base game, but you can synergize with him, which will boost basically what it says. Will synergize the attacks, make them attack in tandem. You'll have some upgraded ATB moves as well. Woady, you want to talk about the synergy materia?
Yeah, definitely. So one of the biggest changes between base game and Intergrade, and this also goes true for the main storyline of the Intergrade version of the game, is the synergy material used to be a material where you would equip it and then you would attach a element to it, and that element would trigger basically the character using it would trigger that element, but it would cost MP and ATB. So it really wasn't that good of a material. Well, the developers, I guess, took feedback and they decided to completely change it and kind of make it broken. So we actually use it heavily in this run. What we're going to do is we're going to basically give it the Sonon. Since we can't control him directly ourselves, this will allow us to slightly manipulate what he can do. Because now the materia will not cost MP and it will not cost ATB, which is important because sometimes building an ATB of Sonon can be a little challenging, though we've routed our best ways to do that, of course. But yeah, so synergy has become a huge part of at least the Yuffie run. For the base game, New Game Plus, runners have also started to route that in as well as they've looked to reroute with all the changes. And coming up here, Generically does a quick shop there for some material he likes to use in his route. But coming up here is probably one of the last kind of like early reset heavy points in this short run, and that's the Corneo Goons battle. The idea with this battle is what's going to happen is they're going to do a move called Deadly Dodge into the goons because Deadly Dodge has a vacuuming effect. And the idea is that hopefully none of them are doing moves that will raise their keep and make them kind of like an immovable fortress. And if they do it properly and that doesn't happen, kind of like what's going on Dutch's side is that they actually are vacuuming together. And once they're vacuuming together and pressured, he synergizes because it's the best way to build ATB. Best way to build pressure on enemies. And once pressure is fully built, they'll do a synergized War of Storm because they're grouped up and basically crush them, kind of like what Dutch did on his side. So that worked out well for him, but looks like Generically has actually been hit with one of these stonewalled goons who just didn't want to move for several attacks there, but he finally gripped him and is now pulling forward with the combo.
Yep. And you'll see them hop up and down. That's really the best way to build up the stagger bar. We call it the Ninja Bunny Hop, or at least I do.
A lot of names: Bunny Hop, Ninja Hop.
It's a very powerful technique for getting enemies to stagger. The stagger is very useful since it means they not only can't move, but they also take 1.6 times increased damage, and we can actually increase how much damage they take even further beyond that.
Yep. When they're synergized, they use a move called Synergized Windstorm, and that will increase the stagger rate. You can get it up to 300, I believe. It's the highest I've seen it.
Yeah, 300%.
One windstorm takes them up to 240. We don't ever do more than one, so yeah, I'm not actually sure what the max is.
Yeah, it's kind of overkill at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say in some of my early routes for this, before some of the optimization came from other runners, yeah, I used to do 2 windstorms on a future boss battle, and yeah, it's a 300%.
So here we're running up. We're gonna have some, in my opinion, some really great music, but all square music is pretty great to me. We're basically gonna chase through. We call this the factory chase, where we have a bunch of mob battles to try to get through as fast as possible. And that's really the name of the game in this section.
Yeah. I also have a menu coming up here. We want to prioritize Yuffie and Sonen's weapons and get us set up for basically the rest of the run.
Yeah, I did mine before the goons.
Yeah, so Yuffie percent does have different weapons you can choose from. There's only 3 per character in the game. One is your, I guess you could say your balanced weapon. One is your magic weapon. The other is your physical weapon. So each runner has their different times when they put them on.
Actually, I'm pretty sure everyone puts it on before the guard dog or the big, like, mutant dog thing.
The Wrath Hound.
The Wrath Hound there.
That's definitely a big fight. Want to make sure we're...
Yeah. And we actually don't get the magic weapon, the boomerang, because we just never need that extra magic damage.
Right.
And its ability, while broken in normal playthrough, isn't needed in a speedrun.
Yeah, even with the difference in routes, Yuffie does tend to lean a little more physical, especially with her Windstorm ability, and Windstorm tends to have more of a physical damage property to it. And so the magic weapon would lose some of that once you get the third weapon, which both runners will pick up along the way once they get there. But here we're chasing after for story elements. A guy who made us some fake tags again to Shinra's Tower. We see Dutch hitting that lever, finding out if he was going to get what we call the tutorial of shame. He also threaded the needle. Congrats there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The run is now valid.
Now, can generically do the same. Find out momentarily. No pressure, of course.
I don't need it. Oh, I guess I will.
Oh, too early.
I felt it.
Oh, no.
Tutorial of shame. No worries, no worries. We all have it.
Let's go.
Yeah, if you want to go fast, you basically have to either hope the conveyor belt gets in, the belt is in the right spot for you, or you just have to pray for the threading the needle and not hit that box.
Yeah, it's surprisingly tight.
Yeah, it's very tight. But
The main thing is the butts have much more hurt box than the front. So you actually want to throw late, and I panicked and threw early.
No worries, no worries. On Dutch's side, you see one of 2 conveyor belt sections. Essentially, this is just part of the game where they either are looking to give players some additional gameplay moments, especially ways to like kind of use that shuriken toss move, as well as the ability to get items from these boxes. Generically is on the conveyor belt, but on Dutch's side, we've got the Horn Cripshay battle. This is one of kind of like a mini boss forced encounter against kind of a stronger enemy. So in this battle, we're gonna basically do as much damage as possible, but we're also gonna try to potentially perfect guard some of the attacks, because if we perfect guard the Horn Cripshay, Sonon's gonna do what's called a twirling lunge ability, which will actually massively increase the stagger gauge, because we wanna stagger the Horn Cripshay as fast as possible. One, so it doesn't summon any add-ons, which will be a little bit of an annoyance, but thankfully you don't have to defeat them to win the battle. But it obviously wastes time to deal with them. But looks like good battle there. He was able to stagger, get him taken care of. Grabbing the Steel Reaper on the way up, as well as the enemy dropped the Gozu drive, and I do apologize, I'm forgetting which one drops what. I think he dropped the Gozu drive, if I remember correctly, and the next one is Mezu.
Yep.
The ostrich.
The ostrich. The Levicron.
The Levicron, yes. And Steel Reaper has a great move called Banishment. Basically, Banishment will increase in strength with each ATB action that you use. So if you use the Art of War or Windstorm, it boosts the damage of it, and it's used in a future battle.
Yeah, we're going to be talking plenty about Banishment in an upcoming battle, but Dutch there did a menu to put on the Gozu drive. So the Gozu drive is fairly important in both of their routes, though generically is going to slightly change things up later on in the run and use a different item, but Gozu is great early on. Reason Gozu is great, but you have to be careful with it. It increases your attack power the more HP you have. So obviously these runners got to be careful. They got to watch their HP values and keep themselves topped off as much as possible, because that's going to allow them to do the most damage as long as they don't take damage. But thankfully we've got items to heal if need be, but that's just the name of the game with this.
It's more specifically your current HP. So if you have 100% HP, you do more damage. You don't need to like increase your maximum HP.
Yes, that is correct. Sorry.
Yeah,
And then-
all proportional.
Yeah. We don't have it yet, but he said the Mizu drive is the same thing, but in reverse for MP. So you do more damage when you're at 0 MP.
Yep. And Dutch just took down another kind of mini strength enemy called the Wrathhound there. That thing is a tank. It just takes a lot of hits before that thing goes down. So just some optimized battles, using elemental ninjutsu or just using ranged attacks will allow us to sometimes stagger it or pressure it, and so it doesn't attack as much, because that thing does hit hard. It will, sometimes jump on you, which wastes time because the AI Sonon doesn't do so much on his own. Sometimes he can, hesitate a lot. Up, and it looks like we got got throw clamp by the dogs. With the load times, as you saw Dutch, it was quicker for him to retry from last battle because load times are so instantaneous on PS5 that you'd actually sometimes waste more time. And this is a race, just trying to brute force your way through a battle if stuff like that happens. Yeah, this segment here, if you played casually, there's a lot of like side paths you can take. There's an elemental materia over there in the middle, for instance. So there's just so much to explore, even though this is a fairly short DLC. It's like 2 chapters long. I mean, casually, I think it takes like 5 hours anyway.
Yeah, 3 to 4 hours.
And then
Now here is the ostrich, at least on Dutch's side here.
Tell us about Levicron.
So Levercron is a wonderful enemy. He's very quick, likes to kick you in the face bunch, but it's also weak to ice and fire. So use that to the advantage.
Yeah, so starting off here, we want to use a Sync Art of War to get him down to low HP, and we don't actually want to kill him right away. We instead want to throw a shuriken on him and use that as movement to run to the exit, because we can actually move faster in battle than out of battle. So if we end the battle too quickly, we have to walk all the way to the exit over here. Plus it gives us time to build ATB for that windstorm there.
Yeah, a lot of movement optimization to get us in a good position to go through as fast as possible. So like I said, we try to get to the exit of a battle zone before the battle ends. So then Dutch is in the shopping section here, but a lot of people don't shop or just use this as a break, since items are pretty easy to come by.
And actually now would probably be a good time, unless Generically wants to say anything about on his side of things, we could probably do some donations.
No, you can go ahead.
All right, awesome. I'll go ahead and do just that. We got a $7.77 donation from Swift Shadow, continuing that $7.77 train. Best of luck to both of you on the race. 7R is by far one of my favorite Final Fantasy games, and it's so great to see it on stage with these amazing runners. Thank you all for keeping the 7R scene alive and thriving. Let's keep that $7.77 train going. That's what I like to see. We also have Hoaxin donating $25, saying, first time donator here. I have to donate for the first time during the best game I've played in the past few years. Final Fantasy VII Remake. Oh, Final Fantasy VII Remake. My uncle passed away from cancer a few years ago. We all miss him dearly. Good luck, Generically Named and DutchPotato. Let's go fast and help find a cure for cancer. Thank you so much, Hoaxin. We also have a $25 from, I apologize in advance for butchering this name, Jamaya. They donate $25 and say, I've gotta donate for that big chonker chocobo. On a more serious note, I encourage everyone to stay on top of your preventive care. My aunt went in for a routine checkup 2 months ago, and the doctors were able to spot her uterine cancer before it spread. Thanks to early detection, she only needed minor surgery, and I'm sure we'll be able to declare her cancer-free very soon. Thank you so much for your generosity.
Awesome.
Did I squeeze in one more?
Yes.
All right, we got a $25 donation from Mintopia, saying, great to see Yuffie% being run at GDQ. Good luck to Generically Named and DutchPotato. Donation goes towards Woady's choice of incentive.
All right. Thank you. I guess why don't we put it towards getting that bonus run of Returnal happening?
Yeah, very
Sounds
nice.
good.
Gotta help our boys in the PS5 community. There's not many of us.
Yeah, there's not many of us.
There's 12, remember.
We're a rare breed. But coming up here, this is actually a big battle and a lot to go over, so I'm going to just jump somewhat into it. So coming up here is the kind of the final boss of Chapter 1, the Giganopede. In our efforts in the story, this is actually a wonderful cutscene. Sadly, we won't get to see it here, so make sure you pick up your copy, play the game yourself. That happens here. But basically, we're going to be fighting a boss against a giant centipede. For some reason, Heidegger has a fascination with animals for all the robots he creates, you know, Scorpion, Crab Warden. And then in this battle, what's going to happen right away is Dutch is going to basically, and both runners will actually do this, they're going to basically try to attack as fast as possible to pressure the boss. Reason being is because if you pressure the boss super quick, it's going to not do this massive tail swipe move, and that really hurts if it hits you. So they're going to jump in, attack really powerful with some Art of Wars, some basic attacks, some synergize. And once the boss is pressured, it's really just a damage check. From there, you're just going to wail on the boss, because honestly, this first phase lasts a pretty long time. It doesn't end until the Giganopede, once it takes a certain amount of damage, it will start to crawl off the stage, but you have to wait for it because this game wants to be cinematic, which is fine. It's a wonderfully cinematic game. It's nice to be able to see that stuff when we skip all the cutscenes. So as you see, Dutch there was able to do all the damage, hit the damage gate, so can't really hurt the boss anymore, but is now going to work on building ATB in preparation for the next phase once the Giganopede gets off of the stage here. So he's just going to wail on him. He also used elemental ninjutsu for the lightning effect. So now his weapon has been infused with lightning. It's a robot, weak to lightning. Makes sense, right, people? And from there, what's going to happen is in a moment here, Giganopede is going to be crawling on the wall, as you see there. And so it's still going to just kind of wail on him, because from here you can actually harm the boss slightly, which is handy. So just, you know, ticking away at that HP little by little. But the goal is that once Centipede stops, it is going to release a bunch of drones. It will not come down from the wall until these drones have been defeated. Now, thankfully, routers have found that if you throw the shuriken and you time it just right, you can use a ranged windstorm, take all the drones out like Dutch did there, and now the Giganopede is now going to hop off of the wall. And what he's going to do is he's actually going to time it. So right as the Giganopede lands, he's going to use a synergized Art of War, which does massive damage, and it's going to force us into the final phase. Now, this whole time, he has been building up Banishment. So every time you use an ATB action, Banishment is going to grow in ticks. Once it reaches 6 ticks, you get Banishment level 3, and it's infused with Lightning. What that's going to allow him to do is going to do some massive lightning damage to Giganopede there, and that's going to help us push that final phase into the end of the battle by basically releasing that built-up power.
Don't blink.
From the weapon. Don't blink, and boom, boss explodes.
And it's gone.
And it's gone.
Yeah, so you see, definitely see how optimized we try to make this fight.
Yeah, despite it being somewhat of a what's the word I'm looking
scripted?
for?
Auto-scroller.
Yeah, scripted. That's perfect. Thank you,
Yeah.
WoadyB. We use that time to build up ATB and make Banishment more powerful, so we can do huge damage at the end there.
Can't believe them. You stay away from that factory, you hear?
On my screen, one thing to watch out for is he actually hits you on the way down, so you got to be a bit to the side.
That is true. Yes,
Yeah.
I have. I have suffered the loss and damage from the Gozu drive by getting hit by that. So yes, that is actually accurate. You do have to be careful. It will do a chunk of damage, especially on normal difficulty.
And it'll knock you back, too.
Yeah, it will not only knock you back, but it will heavily affect your ability to land or to deal damage. And while Generically is finishing up his battle with the Giganopede here in the final phase, Dutch has actually entered Chapter 2, the final chapter of the DLC at this point. We are now in Shinra's facility. This takes place a little bit after Chapter 10, so you actually rewatch the cutscene, part of the cutscene from Chapter 10 of the base game. So this is kind of like between Chapters 10 and 12, 13-ish of the storyline. And what's good? Yeah, go on.
Oops, sorry. I think now would probably be a good time for some donations.
Yep.
Yep.
I would love to squeeze in a few excellent donations. We have Justin Dark donating $250, saying it's my favorite time of the year. when work productivity takes a hit. Just played through Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade for the first time just the other day and really enjoyed it. Good luck to the runners. Save the frames. We also have $25 from Jersey Man, saying, Jersey Man here. Final Fantasy VII is my all-time favorite game and loved the remake with Intergrade added on. Last year, went through cancer with lymphosarcoma and getting a 15-pound cancer mass removed and relieved to get that taken care of. Thank you so much for your generosity, and I'm glad you're feeling better.
All right, so storyline-wise, like what he said, this is happening. But Scarlet is trapping you and making you go through all these different experiments. She's testing all the weapons on Yuffie and Sonnen. So most of this chapter is running through the underground drum and trying to get through that as fast as possible. Pretty much most of these enemies in this section are weak to lightning. So it's all their use of the lightning ninjutsu. The second fight here with the mono drives is real simple. Just got to do a windstorm and it will take care of them pretty easily. And then the third fight is a little bit more challenging. So we have the slug rays and shock rays, except the shock rays will like to throw up a magic shield over the slug rays. So try to get your best guess to try to get them grouped together for a windstorm.
Yeah, the slug rays can be tricky. I mean, Dutch is about to do the battle. With the slug rays and the shock rays, they kind of protect one another as you damage. So sometimes they'll group up, they'll put a shield over it. So that we use to our advantage with the ranged windstorm ability because it's just such a massive amount of damage in a close vicinity, and it's super handy for stuff like that. Plus, the synergized abilities from Sonnen can also help just add a little extra damage to finalize. And from there, Dutch is done with the data collection segment. So as Scarlet is taunting us, we get ourselves a little momentary break. As you see, he can break the boxes around the perimeter of this area if you want some items. This is part of the reason why, unless you've routed in, like Generically has the need to go to a shop, realistically, you never need to buy any items. You can get most of them from just breaking boxes. While it is mostly RNG, there are some items that are usually guaranteed from there. And so we'll continue on as we try to find the materia that Yuffie's looking for.
And while we never find the ultimate materia, we do grab a very cool materia called the Ninja Cannonball, which we'll be grabbing in a little bit after this next fight.
Yeah. Ninja Cannonball is a new materia added to the Yuffie DLC. Because we can't really build ATB with Sonnen by switching to him, Ninja Cannonball will allow them to perform a synergized move to help Sonnen build ATB.
Yeah, I like to call it the Ninja Cannonball. It's basically, if you're a Marvel fan, you might be familiar with the screwball attack done by the Hulk and Wolverine. It's basically that. Sonnen is going to use his staff to basically chuck Yuffie. In this case, it's a short distance, so it's not as good as the Hulk can do, but it's close enough.
Hitting the jackpot. This must be where they make their materia.
All right, we're continuing on through there. I'd say we probably have time for one donation.
I would love to squeeze this one in, saying from Weasel Shaman, we got $50, saying incredible speed, incredible skill. These are two great runners, but only a single White Rose of Wutai. Glad to see her in top form for this wonderful event.
Yeah, the developers did a great job with the Yuffie DLC. Somebody with the way her gameplay feels, it's hard to describe. You just got to feel it for yourself. But just the way she plays, it just feels smooth. It shows a lot of great hope for what Remake Part 2 is going to have. And here on Dutch's side, we're also seeing the only battle we can actually flee from. So in the base game, we tend to flee from the actually, I've been told in chat it's the fastball special, so I apologize for incorrecting the name of the move there. But from there, sorry, as I was saying, we flee the battle. We can't flee most battles as we do in the base game, but that's the one battle we can flee. And from here, we get to meet a new enemy called the Armored Magic Trooper. The Armored Magic Trooper is kind of like the red Shock Troopers, but this one is not weak to magic. It is more weak to physical attacks. So instead, you have to really rely on physical attacks in there. And a new element of this game is that you actually have to watch the troopers blow up and reveal the enemy inside of them. So in the base game, you only fought two for the most part, in the story and speed run, and you could kill them before they basically blow up. But unfortunately, I guess the developers decided to add a level of difficulty, plus also allow people to see this enemy in case you go too fast. So now they actually have to eject out of their armored suit before you can actually finish them off now.
Yeah, very scary in the next fight coming up, since you're kind of locked in a small room with two of them, and the explosion has a pretty wide radius.
Yep, and it causes a ton of damage, even on the easier difficulties. They can still wipe out at least half your HP.
Yeah, and because you can't control Sonnen, he likes to stand there and just tank it. He thinks he can tank it, but he can't. So the general strat for this next fight is want to build up some ATB with the Ninja Cannonball, which we just equipped. And then hopefully burst fire the first Magic Trooper to get him out of the way.
Now, I didn't double check this because y'all menu too fast, but y'all use Kindred Cord, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you need it.
Yeah, so Kindred Cord, I don't think we touched on just real fast. It's an accessory that we give the Sonon because what it does is it reduces ATB actions. Because it's not as effective in gaining ATB of Sonon can take a little bit. And so by using Kindred Cord, we're able to reduce how much gets used when we need to do our double attacks. Plus mixing with Ninja Cannonball and how much it gains back does offset pretty nicely to keep him topped off, especially while Yuffie has the first strike materia.
Yeah, for most of chapter
fight.
1, first strike is a materia that you start with more ATB. And for most of chapter 1, we leave it on Sonon because we can't like easily get him ATB, whereas you can just like spam attacks with Yuffie to get her ATB. Oh, how did he? But after the centipede, it's more important Yuffie just can immediately attack.
Yeah, and since we have Ninja Cannonball, if Sonen's ATB is too low, we can thankfully just remedy that fairly quickly.
Yes, coming up here on Dutch's side, we have the weapons factory, testing grounds, facility. We've all got kind of our own names for this section. This is pretty much an on-rails section you can see here, where you have to basically pick a path, and each path will lead you down a different set of battles. We have found that always going left. Basically, we've turned in the NASCAR here, and so we're only going to turn left and take all the left paths because those are the quickest battles that we can fight along the way. So first up, we have the double Mark II mono drives. These are a variant version of the regular mono drives. What makes them a little tricky is that usually within a few seconds into the battle, as you can see here, one of them will put up a shield to make them immune to physical damage, and the other one is going to put up a shield to make themselves immune to magical damage. Fun fact, neither one can be the same for very long. There are ways to manipulate it, and they'll be the same for a brief period of time, but they'll never stay the same at any time. So usually you either got to take them down fast and hope, one goes down with a preferable shield, or, you just adjust based on what shield is up.
I was going to say Rip Sonnen.
Yes, Rip Sonnen. Fun fact, the quick cool little thing is that if Yuffie goes down and Sonon is actually up, he'll automatically revive Yuffie. So it's a little handy. It's a one-time per battle thing as long as he's got HP, but it's definitely helpful to kind of keep yourself up and recover in some ways. Here we have the Cutter battle, which was the next one, because arguably the Cutter is better than fighting two Blast Rays. If you're familiar with this game and you know what a Blast Ray is, you know where I'm coming from.
Yeah. If you're unfamiliar, the Blast Rays like to throw up a shield when they're staggered, and the shield will push you away, so it makes it very difficult to finish them off when they're staggered. And two of them is just
the
not
Cutter,
fun.
thankfully.
Yeah.
We can get them into stagger fairly easily with Thunders, which puts them in the pressure, and then a Sync Windstorm into Thunder to finish them off.
Yep. And then the third battle we're coming up to here on Dutch's side is the basically just a group of regular mono drives. This battle is actually pretty free, thanks to the increased power range of a non-ranged windstorm. You can basically take them all, like you kind of run to the middle of them, you can use it and usually catch all of them in one hit. They're low HP, so they go down with one of those attacks.
I just want to comment on my side. you can see me casting Cure in between battles, because now I'm trying to drain all of my MP, because at the end of this, I swap to the Mizu drive, which we mentioned before, so I'll do more damage with the less MP I have.
Yeah, that's definitely a big difference. And there's a lot of, like, different subtleties to a bunch of people's Yuffie's routes, since it's a short run. There's actually a surprising amount of variety.
Yeah, it starts off pretty much the same through the beginning of Chapter 1, but as the run goes on, there's good opportunity for deviation.
Yeah, the game gives you so much starting materia, and even like generically showed you earlier, where you can go to a shop and buy more material. Like there's so much variety that one could route into their run that there is a lot of it's just variation, and you just have so much unique routes that can come from this, and I'll still have around the same times at the end of the day.
Yeah. And so here on Dutch's side, he's about to be fighting an enemy from the OG game, but it's from outside of Midgar, called the Death Wheel. This enemy is actually very resistant to lightning, but weak to all the different elements. So you want to try. It seems counterproductive since it's a machine, but you want to try to avoid using lightning with this battle.
The biggest thing is when he gets pressured and he builds up his shield. If you want to talk about that.
Yeah, so he'll put up a shield once he gets pressured. You don't kill him fast enough. The shield will pretty much block everything and knock back characters on physical. But thankfully, Dutch didn't have to worry about that.
Yeah, that was pretty much a perfect fight. That fight is very inconsistent. He likes to run around a lot, thankfully.
Yeah, Death Wheel's
Sync
movement
Windstorm
is very, very random.
Thankfully, Sync Windstorm has a very big AoE, so
Yeah.
if we manage to build the ATB to throw out two of them, it's usually okay.
Oh man! All right. So on Dutch's side, we've got one of the bosses coming up here. This is a big one, and this is actually part of where Generically does his strat involving the Mizu drive, is because this battle is hard to not take damage in if you're using the Gozu drive, which is going to affect your damage output. Up next, we have a boss battle against Scarlet. Now, Scarlet, unfortunately, is not, well, just Scarlet. She's brought her robot buddy, the Crimson Mare, along for the ride. This battle is there's a lot going on in this battle. There's turrets on the side. Her robot itself, she has her own health bar. The robot has a health bar. The two arms in phase 2 have a health bar. But essentially what it's going to boil down to is the goal is the first defeat Scarlet. You can't actually defeat her. You have to take down Crimson Mare to win the battle. So the goal is to take down Scarlet, which will pressurize the Crimson Mare, and then from there you're going to build the stagger gauge as Dutch is doing, and then from there he's going to basically damage Crimson Mare as much as possible, hitting the damage gate or getting close enough, or at least enough to push to phase 2, because we want to damage the robot as much as possible, because if phase 2 goes on for too long, it gets really dangerous, and it is just a pretty big reset point as well, or even just a run loss point in the run if you can't manage what's going on from here.
Yeah, in the battle, in the speed run, you only want to see the 2 phases here. Then the 3rd phase, she will hop back up and grab a sword and shield, and then she her damage output is just absolutely insane. So you want to try to avoid that at all costs.
Yeah, thankfully phase 2 is pretty scripted. She'll do 2 laser blasts, and then she'll do kind of like a short-handed volley. If you move fast enough and only attack Scarlet, you can generally take down her and pressurize the Crimson Mare before the end of that volley attack. And then from there you see we're going to use Thunder Banishment again to basically finish off Scarlet before I can even finish my sentence. That's just how fast these runners can be sometimes, and how quick some of these battles tend to be with their optimizations.
Yeah,
well, don't worry,
real quick, we'll jump
replays.
right into the next battle, because these guys, like, if you get too close to them, they like to disappear. And once they disappear, they'll reappear. They'll shoot either a fire-based attack or an ice attack, or just beat you with their baton and bound you. So you want to try to stay as far away as possible from them, which Dutch did perfectly.
Yeah, even though technically one did teleport, but they teleported really early, so they actually appeared. And thankfully that windstorm hit both those starting enemies.
Yeah, so as you can see, the action has certainly ramped up. The battles are coming fast and furious. So now we're in a virtual reality, similar to the Chad Lee virtual reality battle sections. Except this time, the pain sensation's at max. But it's not really going to matter since we're not taking too much damage.
Yeah, essentially Scarlet has trapped us in here by messing with the training system, and so now we're having to find a way to get out of this training simulator. And with generically, as he finishes up the Crimson Mare battle, as you can see, he's got no MP because this is where the Mizu drive is going to come in handy. He doesn't have to worry about as much with his HP going down from these side hits, and that allows him to keep his damage at max. And then with Dutch, we are getting into, I believe, the projector battle. So this is like the boss battle of the basically the training simulator. So the projector here is what's keeping us in. We can't hurt the projector while this beast creature is up.
Fake Genova.
The fake Genova, the diabolical creature, I think is creation. So from there, you've got to take down the creation. But the thing is you got to be quick about this, because once the creature goes down, you can only harm the projector when it is pressurized. So what we've routed into is a one-phase projector battle, because the Synergized Windstorm and the Synergized Art of War will do massive damage, generally allowing us to chunk down this boss, especially if you do the stagger gauge boost with Synergized Windstorm. Once practiced a few times, you can generally get one cycle every time. It can be a little tricky when you're first learning, but it's pretty simple after a bit.
And with here comes the great equalizer for Dutch, the final boss of the speedrun Nero. As speedrunners, I can say we all dislike this battle. Yeah, this battle is a very stressful part of the speedrun.
This battle's rough because Nero doesn't have a typical AI system, so we're going to hope he doesn't do Binding Talons. He did not, so Dutch got good starting RNG, so that's wonderful on that end of things. So Dutch is here. Basically, Nero does a bunch of attacks. The only way to really hurt him is we need to pressurize him. So to pressurize him, we need to hopefully interrupt one of his abilities, but if he does Binding Talon, you can't interrupt it. So we got good RNG on Dutch's side. He is currently pressured, staggered Nero, and is now wailing on him to push the next phase.
Almost missed the first stagger, but made
Almost. Yes, he recovered pretty quick.
Unfortunately, Sonnen sort of dragged him away, and Sonnen can't actually stagger him, so I had to change up my attacks, and that gives him a chance to escape. But thankfully, he was at maxed out, so he only needed to do one good hit.
The bunny hop technique that I mentioned earlier has this weird quirk with Nero, where they'll bounce off Nero and only one of them will be hitting, or sometimes none of them.
Yeah. Makes this fight very inconsistent. This fight is generally either a complete disaster or perfect. Yeah. Very rarely is there an in-between.
Yeah, and here you get a little break. This is about a minute long. That's the other thing why this can take down your PBs pretty fast. This cutscene is a minute long, and if you die to Nero, because Nero in late phases is very dangerous, depending on how much RNG works with you or how much you've routed or optimized the battle. And so losing that minute with how short this run is it's pretty rough. So that's why it's a big run loss point as well for a run this short. But it looks like he got hit with some good RNG again, interrupt the attack. Usually phase 2 can go pretty fast, and was able to keep the pressure through the bunny hop, allowing him to stagger once again. Because ideally we need to stagger Nero 3 times, because Yuffie's limit will basically guarantee us the win, assuming he doesn't dodge in the final phase. And here we enter phase 3 of the Nero battle. This is where things can get pretty dangerous. Now, one thing with Nero that we may not see in these battles with how well these runners are going is that if we end up in critical HP, Nero is going to do a erosion attack that is basically instant death if you don't heal yourself out of critical fast enough. But Dutch is moving pretty fast, so we might be coming up on time pretty quick here, depending on how this phase goes. So he's got the pressure. Now, can you get the stagger and get things going from there? So sometimes Nero does end a stagger pretty quick. So sometimes you gotta go fast. And I think he's got the almost got the stagger. He's got
it happened again.
Oh, no.
That's all right. Should be fine.
Yeah, it should be fine. Should be fine.
Oh my God, he does Binding Talon. Of course he did. Of course he did.
The infamous Binding Talon. But yeah, we've got the stagger. So we actually probably got to get ready for time here on Dutch's side.
As long as he doesn't do a spatial shift.
As if we land this attack, so let's get ready. I'll call it out when it happens.
Yeah, so the objective here is he's going to sprout wings in these final phases, and that's actually a weak point for him, where if we hit it with a limit, it will stagger him, while also dealing the limit damage to Nero as well.
Yep.
All right.
And,
And we're good.
No spatial
All right.
shift. All right.
So let's get ready to call it. And with that,
Time
for Dutch.
All right. GG, man.
Very
GG,
nice.
Dutch.
I will
We
more than gladly take that as a marathon run.
I noticed over on Generically side his first phase, he got the pinion pistols. Some pretty bad RNG in first phase, but
I dropped pressure because I was trying to like squeeze in something to catch up, and then I just had to really take phase 1 weirdly.
all right. Getting through phase 2, pretty good.
Yeah, we're back on script.
Yep.
I don't know if Dutch does it, but I just do a blind Art of War right here.
Oh, I'm not brave enough for that. No way.
Yeah, I was actually gonna mention this. Yeah, what Generic is gonna do here is he's gonna do the YOLO synergize move here. So ideally, what tends to happen is Nero will a lot of times like warp from above below, and so what Generically does, and I actually do it myself, as he'll do basically a synergized Art of War automatically, and it usually catches, and it does a good chunk of damage. And then from there, you can just continue to chunk down, depending on his action. Sometimes it pressurizes, just depends on what he does. So he's got the pressure. He is now working to build the stagger gauge as best as he can, because he wants that stagger so he can make sure he can get that final phase quick victory, as long as we don't get a spatial shift. So he's going to push the damage threshold. What's up, Steam?
No, go ahead.
In other words, yeah, he's just basically going to push the threshold. Once he gets up, we have to watch 2 animation scenes here, where he first creates this pool of matter, darkness, if you will, and then from there he'll sprout his wings, and we'll go in for the final limit break and hope for no dodge.
Yeah. And
And it's done.
All right, so we've got time coming up here, and time.
there it is. GG's, everyone.
GG's.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Thank you. Very happy with that.
Nice.
And just want to say thank you, GDQ, for having us all and having Final Fantasy VII Remake showcased here.
Yeah, we really appreciate
Yes,
it.
thank you so much.
As I mentioned, it's on PC now. There's even a load remover, I think, done. So like
Almost
you can
done.
jump in and
Final
do
phase of testing.
runs.
Now is
Yes.
Final phase.
But yeah, now is pretty much the perfect time to learn the run if you found that interesting at all.
Yeah, we have a Discord that tons of people, they're willing to help, especially with new runners. So come on by, say hi, hang out. We're all good people.
Yep, it's been a blast. Thank you all so much. Wonderful time. Yuffie run. We've got the base game run. So much to happen here. We've got glitches in the work for our base game. Nothing quite yet for Yuffie, but hey, if you're a glitch hunter, come help us find some stuff for Yuffie. Let's get this run under sub 40. Who knows what we could find. That sub 40 would be crazy. But thank you all so much. Come find us either on our own channels or on our Discord.
Yeah.
Love to see you.
I was gonna say we didn't talk about it. There is the glitch in the wolves in chapter 1 during the factory,
That is true.
but there's no setup for it, and I've even never seen it. But you can out of bounds in chapter 1.
So yeah, help us
So
find
there
a
are
consistent
glitches if
setup
you're
for
interested.
that. Sitting right there, the golden goose.
The golden goose. Yes, thank you all, GDQ. Thank you, Remake community. Have fun. Good luck to all the runners. It's been a blast.
Later.
Bye.
All right, congratulations once again to Generically Named and DutchPotato. What an incredible run. As we ease off the adrenaline rush that was the Final Fantasy VII run, let's go ahead and read a few donations. We got $25 from Strike Phoenix that says, I can't help but donate to such a good cause during the Final Fantasy VII run. Final Fantasy VII, which inspired my love of games. Both my mom and my grandpa are both survivors of cancer due to early detection, so this cause is especially close to my heart. This donation goes out to them. Thank you so much, Strike Phoenix. We also have a $50 donation from Arakuna, who says, I had to donate this quickly before Yuffie stole it from me. Well, it's a good thing that Yuffie was able to resist until the end of the run, which isn't saying much because that run was incredibly fast. Thank you so much for that. And finally, one more donation as we segue away. we have a $50 donation from Moonin, who says, Spaceman just wants a hug. And I have to shill this incentive so much. Returnal bonus New Game Plus run is so close to being met. That run is $20,642.50 out of $25,000. We are so close to being there, but not that much time left. So please get those donations in. You do not want to miss out on it. It goes by so quickly, and it is full of excitement from beginning to end. Please get your donations in for that. So now, a quick word from our sponsors. All right, that's right. We get to talk about Fangamer, one of the greatest video game merchandise companies out there. They have incredibly high quality and very durable stuff, and it's incredibly cozy and warm. I have to say, I bought a GDQ blanket from them not too long ago, and I cannot stop using it. Like seriously, I'm using it right now. I've used it every single day since I've gotten it. I do not regret that purchase at all. If you all feel like adding a little bit of GDQ merchandise to your carts as well, please do so, because all of those sales do in fact benefit the Prevent Cancer Foundation. For all of you international viewers out there, do not fret, do not feel jealous, because they have branches in Japan and Europe as well to make sure that they can ship worldwide as needed. If you don't have their store open yet, please do so right now at fangamer.com/GDQ. Welcome back, everyone, and now we are going to give you yet another surprise. Time for a sneak peek into how a runner thinks. We're gonna go to a great interview. We'll be right back.
Hello, everyone! Kung Fu Fruit Cup here. I am with you all interview, and this time I am joined by fellow Games Done Quick hotfix showrunner, Ecdycis. How you doing, Ek?
How's it going? Doing good.
Good, I'm glad to hear that. So Ek here is going to be opening up our Tuesday night horror block. I feel like I've heard that term once or twice this week. That's so weird. Well, anyway, that's starting very soon after Returnal. So you'll be opening up the horror block with Dead Rising. So relating back to like the pre-show, we've had an instance of mentioning the final boss. Now, I believe this is a donation incentive. Do you want to tell everybody a little bit about what they can expect with their donation?
Sure. So the normal run is like the 72-hour mode, which is the main story mode, which, you know, that's the main campaign. But once you beat the campaign, there's like an extra overtime mode. Well, we won't be doing the overtime. We beat the overtime in a very unique way. So the donation incentive is essentially beating the final boss at the lowest level possible. Like normally you'd be getting to that point like level 40 or something. I'm doing it at level 9. And we're using a special tool to help with that, which a lot of people might know that, but if you don't, it's definitely something worth saying. It's very silly. That's the best I can describe it without spoiling it.
Yes, that is a great way to say it, indeed. And so please get your donations in for that. I know that we are under halfway, but definitely doable with between now and is this going to be like 2/3 during the run? Like how soon during the run do you think that'll close for you?
For the incentive?
Yes.
Oh, pretty much you can just, once the run's done, if it's met, we can do it. I have a safety save for that. I already preloaded it, so it's all nice and fine.
So that'll be after the actual main run is over. So
right,
you haven't
right.
From now until then, so we can definitely hit that goal. Please get that incentive in. That would be awesome. Now, this whole game, like the whole concept of Dead Rising in general is really interesting because, you know, you usually have like a time limit that you have to like work with and, you know, different people like live and die depending on what you do for it. And so I know a lot of the strats to save time in this game are particularly, I find them very funny. Because all the people you're supposed to save, you tend not to, and different things like that. So what would you think are some of the biggest things that you do to like help influence that like supposed to be like set time that you're supposed to spend?
So the set time thing is actually a mod that the Dead Rising community made to make the game speedrunnable, because naturally the game takes 6 hours and there's nothing you can really do outside of get beat up at the final, like the end section. But since we have the mod, it essentially makes the game a linear story. So you just do all the story missions and it goes back to back. But even with that, we have a lot of speed tech, which is, it's going to look more like a sports game than a zombie game. And it's going to be pretty fun with the way it's going to be looking.
Yeah, with all like the different kinds of weapons you can find throughout the ball.
Yeah.
It's I will say that even though this is classified as like a horror game, I find it to be very funny. And Ek here makes it really kind of like lighthearted and fun throughout as well. So it's a really, really interesting run to watch. Now I know that there is also whenever I watch the stream, I hear him talking about this one skip. And I know this might be a bit of trouble for you, but bike skip. Tell me about it.
Yeah.
What's happening?
So bike skip or bike zip is this trick where you get a bicycle and you just fling Frank across the mall. It just zooms him so you don't have to walk all the way back. He just flies. But the downside is Frank can go into out of bounds or into something called the void. If I go into the void, it means I have to load a safety save that I made, which is like right before that trick again. So I'm hoping I don't go into the void. I'm hoping so much, by the way, that if I do go into the void, I'll donate $50 to GDQ because I really don't want to go in the void. It can be rough. It's pretty much a death. Like he just infinitely falls. You ever see the beginning of Kingdom Hearts? Like if you put that song, the simple and clean, and then had Frank falling, it's like Sora like just falls upside down. It's like that. Okay. But instead, it's infinite, and you just hear Otis calling you to the end of time.
Okay, so it's like a soft lock. Like you,
you can't get out. Like if you get into the void, it's gone. But I've been working on it. I think I have a way to not make that happen. But in the event it does, I have that on there.
Okay, because I remember, again, like I've seen this happening over and over on stream, or just hearing you being like, "Oh, bike skip."
I've had a lot of people from my own personal community, kind of like jabbing, like, you're gonna go, like, they're ready to see a void.
I feel like it's very memey, but you know what?
It is.
Regardless, even if that does happen for some reason, first of all, you said you have that safety save, and second of all, that's money for charity. That's money to help Prevent Cancer Foundation. So I would say personally, it's a win-win either way.
Also, do go into the void.
Right, exactly. The run's going to be really fun either way. Also, with your whole, hotfix thing, I just wanted to touch really quickly. You play a million horror games, or at least, over 100, but that's not an exaggeration. Can you say
not. I lost count, but there's a lot.
Oh, sorry.
I was saying I lost count, but I think it's like over 110 or something now.
Oh, 110. I was going to say the Dead Rising series, I think, was kind of newer to what you've started to run. Is there anything else in the future similar that you think you might tack on?
For horror games or like Dead Rising?
Either one, because I know you did most of the
Dead Rising specifically. I've been looking at a lot more of the survivors. So one of the things you'll remember is how dumb the survivors are. And recently I've been doing Dead Rising 2 with all the survivors, and they die. They just keep dying. Yep. So one of my projects after AGDQ is hopefully all of Dead Rising 1 survivors, because it remembers how terrible they are, and they're like chickens running out, their heads cut off. But another game I've been working on is actually just a weird PS1 game called The Galarians, which is like every edgy anime to a Linkin Park song ever, and I love it.
Awesome. Well, this is the content. This is the kind of content you can expect to see here and this evening coming up. So we're probably not saving all the survivors tonight, but it is going to be a great time. Hopefully you can nail that bike skip. Totally believe in you, and can't wait to see that. And then the rest of the horror block after. So thanks for talking with me, Ek. You're great. And we will see you all for the next one coming up is Returnal. So everybody, please get excited for that. Make sure you get your donations in for this final boss incentive that Ek has here for this Dead Rising run. And we will see you soon. I'll see you for a daily recap in just a bit. All right, thanks everyone.
Bye.
All right, everyone, welcome back. We are so close to meeting that Returnal incentive. We are 21,770 out of 25,000. We are almost there. Please get your donations in as soon as possible while we go to a quick break. Thank you very much. Welcome back, everyone. As an update, the Returnal bonus New Game Plus run is at $22,410 out of $25,000, and it is skyrocketing up. Do not stop now. Make sure we give it that final push. The run will go by quickly. It is full of action. Please take it away.